Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys! On this occasion, I will present a journal of Islamic economic with the title Contract Agreement Model for Murabahah Financing in Indonesia Islamic Banking. This journal was written by Permata Wulandari and her friends. Okay, firstly, let me to introduce myself to you. My name is Azmil Futihatul from Group 4. In this video, we will discuss 5 subchapters. First, introduction. Second, literature review. Third, methodology. Fourth, result and discussion. And fifth, conclusion. As we know, despite relatively new and small compared with the conventional banking industry, the Islamic banks are able to show a significant improvement both in size and innovation, and also perceived to be among the most rapidly emerging sectors in the world. Indeed, Islamic banking is now considered as an additional Islamic moral values. In contrast, the conventional economy, which is fundamentally built based on the principle of money creation and interest rate, is criticized for creating excessive lending behavior of the society, which gradually promotes the presence of financial bubble. In the conventional sense, the benefit of the banking institution lies on its ability to enable both public and private sectors to enhance the business cycles, which is considered as the main catalyst for post-World War economies in the Western world, opening the door to override on the concept of instinctual wants of the human player. Different with the conventional perspective, Islamic banking as the prototype of ideal entities in Islamic financial vehicles carries a mission of establishing justice among society. Islamic financial institution is shaped and formed by 3 values. First, strict implementation of Sharia limit in banking business. Second, sharing risk between the financier and the entrepreneurs by profit and loss sharing. Third, equitable proportion of financial resources for everyone, including the poor. Second, literature review. First, we will discuss about Islamic contract law. Various transactions, including financial transactions, must have a well-defined contract to prove legal significance. Islamic contract law is an ideal image of contract by interpreting the underlying meaning of contract in consideration of the total context of the society. And second, we will discuss about Murabahah contract trade. There are 2 types of Murabahah purchase order in Indonesia. 1. Murabahah the non-binding, and 2. Murabahah binding. The non-binding allows client to work out or cancel the request. However, current practice of Murabahah purchase order in Indonesia is the binding and installment. The danger of the Murabahah purchase order is that it could easily fall into combining hawala or debt transfer with purchase sales. If the asset never falls into the bank's possession, hawala is the triangle credit or a situation where client comes into bank for purchase order of an asset. When the buyer is not able to pay in cash, the buyer pays the installment. Moreover, the bank will purchase the asset in cash and later sell it to the client. This contract called Murabahah scam. Third, methodology. This research adopts the qualitative approach to map the indicators for contract processing in Murabahah financing by the Islamic banks in Indonesia. With a sample of 14 Islamic banks, business unit, 3 regulatory perspective, 5 academicians, and 2 Islamic scholars. The study utilizes several stages such as classical literature review of conducting Murabahah in Islamic scholars' perspective, focus group discussion or FGD, and in-depth interview, and qualitative analysis based on content analysis in modeling the variables. Data were gathered in August 2013, facilitated by the Indonesian Central Bank or Bank Indonesia. The content of the interviews and FGD is then analyzed and synthesized to form the factors affecting contract process of Islamic banks in Indonesia. And then we will discuss result and discussion. Okay, the results of this journal are divided into 5 dimensions. Result 1. Risk exposure has an impact on contract agreement process through dimension of fairness to customer. Price of the acquired asset is an important determinant in Murabahah contract agreement for the bank. The explanation for the notion comes from the existing literature where majority state that the price of acquired assets are the fixed reference for setting margin, tenor, and the risk associated with payment mode. The relationship between price and contract is clear, but indirect, as most Murabahah type of contract are only differentiated by the tenor. The higher the price of acquired asset, the riskier the care. Therefore, bank must insert an additional item on the contract such as collateral. The revenue concept in Islamic bank works fundamentally as a risk transfer mechanism. Unlike in conventional bank, Islamic perspective favors no fixed rate in the saving side. And result 2, disclosure on margin and price are required items to validate contract. Margin disclosure is important in the Islamic perspective because it characterizes the Murabahah transaction. In Murabahah, both principal and margin must be studied by the bank as it is the part thaman or price. The FGD agreed that disclosure of price and margin are the required items to validate the contract. Murabahah is similar with credit financing in conventional bank. It is used to finance facilities or assets in period usually longer than 5 years. Conventional bank treated the risk of default and delayed payment with floating rate and increasing the premium. Result 3. Competitors' threat has an impact on contract agreement process through the dimension of business practical. Ubaidillah 2005 state that Islamic financial institutions uniquely face a kind of withdrawal risk, displaced commercial risk, which is a result from competitive pressures which an Islamic financial institution faces from existing Islamic or conventional counterparts. An Islamic bank is highly exposed to the risk of withdrawals by its depositors as a result of the lower rate of return they would receive compared to what its competitors pay. Faced with this risk, and taking into account the environment where Islamic bank operates in mixed system, this forced Islamic bank to pay investment account holders a competitive market return regardless of their actual performance and profitability, and even works harder to gain financing claim. And result 4, regulation variable or regulation of central bank and National Islamic Council will affect the formalization of contract agreement process. Both Central Bank of Indonesia and Islamic scholars share the same ideas on several items of Murabahah contract. It must disclose the price of acquired assets and the margin set. The margin must be fixed at each process or sickening agreement. And there are clear positions of buyer and seller to prevent misuse of Murabahah contract and other contracts as well. Central Bank of Indonesia demand a periodical report to fulfill the general banking reporting compliance, and Islamic scholars demand the Sharia audit report. And result 5, Islamic value emphasizes price disclosure and agreement negotiation process. The National Sharia Council, the main source for Islamic banking reference in Indonesia, stressed that to be Sharia compliant, bankers must ascertain the formal transfer of ownership. The ideal steps are rated as follows. First, customer comes to the bank for financing proposal. Second, bank reviews on customer's background. When agreed, customer acts as bank's representative or wakala to purchase the asset from supplier. Third, there are two ijab kabul, the supplier and the bank, which indicates the transfer of ownership between supplier and the bank and between the bank and client. CDK 2001, the finding from the in-depth interviews mostly agreed that important factors include price disclosure and agreement negotiation on behalf of customers' fairness. There are general Islamic conduct on purchase agreement that both buyer and seller must enter the transaction at their own free will. And the last, I will talks about conclusion in this journal. And the conclusion in this journal, findings on this research are the 4 dimensions affecting the contract agreement: fairness to customer, country regulation, perceived business practically, and product characteristic. The 4 dimensions are assumed to be influenced with categories proposed, as category item is mostly repeated and is perceived to be significant in the participant's perspective. We could conclude that bankers, regulators, Islamic scholars, and academicians in Indonesia emphasize on risk exposure, market characteristics, macroeconomic variable, and Islamic value as the non-negligible factors of every Murabahah contract process. And as an addition, price disclosure, margin disclosure, and clear transfer of ownership are the required factors for a valid Murabahah contract in Indonesia. That's my presentation. I'm so sorry if any mistake. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum.